Okay, so we shall start now. Everyone, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Samir.
Good morning. So now let us start with the. I'll just brush it up once, and then we'll move with the Azure data factory today. Okay, guys, the Azure data factory. So when we talk about the Azure data factory, yes, guys, what is it? This is basically a service, as we know, and this is a service, and the service is used to perform the job of what is that ETL, that is the data summarization, we can say. And whereas this ETL requires ETL or ELT, whereas this ETL or ELT requires, guys, where this ETL and ELT requires the following. What's that? It requires the source, and the next one is it requires a target. It requires the source and the target, whereas source is nothing but what? It requires the source and the target. It requires the source and the target, whereas the source is nothing but what? We can say the source of data. Okay, the source of data, as you know already, we can get the data from ultimately the business, and from the business we get the data in the form of a files, whereas in the form of a database, where also we get the data from the live streaming source. Okay, live streaming, etc. Whereas apart from this, guys, okay, apart from this, when we talk about the data, so basically this all sources of business generates the data, whereas which is called as the big data. Big data means what? Basically huge data or massive amount of data. Huge data or massive amount of data is called as what? Big data. Huge data or massive amount of data is called as what? Big data. Huge data or massive amount of data is called as what? Big data. Whereas we can have, when we talk about the big data is classified into three type of data. What is that? The first one is called as what? Structured, as you know that it is called as the structured data. And the second one we call it here as the semi-structured. And the third one we call it as what? Unstructured. Structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. Structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. These are the three types of we have it data that is called as what? It can be the structured, semi-structured, and the unstructured. Whereas when you talk about the structured, you know already the data which is kept in the proper form of what is it? Tables, that is in the form of what? Rows and columns. And semi-structured is nothing but the data which we put it in the form of what is it? JSON, or we have the in HTML, etc. These are all called as what? Semi-structured data. And when we talk about the unstructured, guys, when we talk about the unstructured means this does not follows any structure, any kind of it. That is nothing but your photos, videos, chat histories, etc. This comes under what? Unstructured data only. Okay, guys, it comes under what? Unstructured data only. Okay, it comes under the unstructured. So guys, basically these are the things we have it. Okay, so now when we talk about the data, so whereas to store this kind of a data, we require what is that? To store this data into the Azure, we require what is that? To storages in Azure. To store this kind of data, we require what's that? Storages in Azure, guys. What's that we require? We require the storages in Azure. We require the storages in Azure. Okay. We require what is it? Storages in Azure. So here we can say the storages in Azure. Storages in Azure. Whereas the storages in Azure, we have the following storages in Azure. Tell me now what are the storages in Azure? Basically, we have what is that? 90 plus storages, as already yesterday I have discussed. Okay, we have what is that? 90 plus storages are there. Okay, how many storages are there? 90 plus storages are there. Okay, we have what is that? 90 plus storages are there. Okay, so guys, basically, we have what? 90 plus storages are there, where every storage will have a different method of storing. That is nothing but a different type of things to store. The first one is called as what? Azure Blob Storage. The first one is called as what, guys? Azure Blob Storage. The first one is called as what? The Azure Blob Storage. Okay. You can say the first one is what? Azure Blob Storage, whereas the Azure Blob Storage can store any kind of data. That is, we can say structured, structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. All the three type of data we can store it into the Azure Blob Storage. And the next one we have it as what? ADLS Gen 2. So guys, ADLS Gen 2, which stands for what? Azure Data Lake Gen 2. In short, we call it as what? ADLS Gen 2. Azure Data Lake Gen 2. What is it? Azure Data Lake Gen 2. Where the Azure Data Lake Gen 2 can also store the any kind of data, whether it is a structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. And the next one, guys, what is it? We have it. And the next one we have it. What is that? The third one we have it as what? The Azure SQL database. As it is the Azure SQL database, this can store only, guys, this can store only, okay, this can store only Azure SQL database. This can store only the structured data, that is the data which is properly kept in the form of rows and columns. The data which is kept in the proper form of rows and columns will be recorded or stored here. That's it. Okay. And then the fourth one we have it here as what? Yes, guys, the fourth one, what is it? We have it. So Azure SQL database, Azure SQL database, and then you have what is it? Azure Cosmos DB. What is it? You have it? Azure Cosmos DB. Azure Cosmos DB. Okay. We have what is that? Azure Cosmos DB. We have the Azure Cosmos DB. Okay. We have the Azure Cosmos DB, where this is called as a NoSQL database. This is called as what? NoSQL database. It is called as what, guys? NoSQL database, where basically we don't use the SQL. Okay. So when there is no SQL database, okay, obviously it can store the structured and semi-structured, both the data, first and two. First two can store it here, okay? And then apart from this, what's that you have it? Azure Synapse is there. Azure Synapse is there. Likewise, you have many more storages are there, okay?
So, Samir, I have a question about this Azure Synapse that you mentioned. What is Azure in the Synapse Studio also have a data pipelines?
Basically, Azure Synapse is a data warehouse, and whereas the Azure Synapse is the combination of all. That means it has a feature of ADF. It is a separate service, you can say. Basically, the Azure Synapse is a separate service, wherein you have everything. What is it? You have a data pipeline is there. You have everything, almost all everything is there. But Synapse is basically, a bit, it will cost higher. So that's the reason people, those who require only the ETL part, those who require only the data summarization part, will go with the ADF. or somebody requires even the visualization, everything is required, then they prefer to go with the Synapse, where it includes the feature of ADF also.
So does Synapse allow to load the data using ADF?
Yes, of course, why not?
Okay.
That is also the one of the service you can say.
Okay.
Like the ADF, you have Synapse as one of the service.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
So that's it. So Azure Synapse. So now guys, altogether we have 90 plus storages are there. Now guys, today we'll start with the store that is nothing but the Azure Data Factory. Azure Data Factory. So guys, the Azure Data Factory. What is Azure Data Factory? So guys, here you have a Azure Data Factory. Okay, the Azure Data Factory. Okay, so we have what is it? Azure Data Factory. So now when it comes to the Azure Data Factory, so to use the Azure Data Factory, first of all, we require to understand the components. Components in ADF. We require to understand what's it? Components in ADF. We require to understand what's it? Components in ADF. If you know this component, then you know the entire, the ADF, you have it. Okay. So guys, components in ADF. So what is it? You have it components in ADF. The first component you can say pipeline. Then you have data set. Pipeline data set. Then you have what's it? Linked service. Okay. Then you have what's it? Pipeline data sets, linked service activities. Pipeline data sets, linked service activities. Then you have what is that? Triggers. Okay. Pipeline data sets, linked service activities, triggers. Then you have what is that? The next one. Yeah. Activities, triggers is there. And then you have what is it? Pipeline data set, linked service activities, triggers. And then you have what is that? Data flows. And the seventh one, you have integration runtime. Integration runtime. These are the 7 components which is required by us to perform the process. Without this, you cannot move, guys. It is very essential to know these 7 components. If you don't know the 7 components, then you don't know the ADF. Okay. If you know this, you know everything. So now let us start with the first one. Everything wise, I will explain you. Okay, guys. Now pipeline. So guys, what is pipeline? Basically, when we talk about a pipeline, the pipeline is nothing but it is a source of carry the data. It is a source where used to carry the data from the source to the target. That means it is the source of carrying the data, guys. Okay, from the source to the destination. For example, okay, for example, so we all stay in some individual houses or residential apartments, etc. But we get the water supply. We get the water supply into our wash areas. Can you tell me from where do we get this water supply? Ultimately, you will have an overhead tank, whatever it may be. You will have an overhead tank. From that overhead tank, we get the water. Am I right, everyone? Yes, guys? We have an overhead tank. Through that overhead tank, we get the water. Okay. Or else sometimes you will have even the underground water. So even that will also supply the water. That means we get the water ultimately from the overhead tanks or whatever it may be. But from the overhead tank, if you're getting the water from the overhead tank and it reaches you, that means it reaches your apartment or it reaches your flat. Okay, it reaches a flat or the wash area in your flat. Tell me now, how does the water reaches? That means the water, you have a tap. You have a tap. Simply on the tap, you get the water. How you are getting it? You're getting it from the overhead tank. But now, how the overhead tank is supplying the water to the tap? By the means of what is it? Pipeline. By the means of what is that? Pipeline. So we can say that pipeline is the source of supplying the water. Pipeline is the source of supplying the water. Pipeline is the source of supplying the water from the overhead tank to your tap, from the overhead tank to your tap. Getting my point, everyone? Yes.
Yeah, Reddy.
So basically, we can say that pipeline is a source of supplying the water from the overhead tank to the tap. That's it. In the same way here also. Here you have a, guys, here you have a pipeline. That means here you have a source. Guys, everyone, just concentrate here. This is the logic I have. Okay, so can you see it? This is the source. To supply the source, to carry the data from the source to the target. As you know that we perform the job of ETL, and ETL is performed by using the ADF. The ADF requires a pipeline. The ADF requires what is it? Pipeline. PL. I'm giving in short. We require what is it? PL. So with the pipeline is nothing but pipeline. Pipeline supplies the what? Pipeline supplies what is it, guys? Pipeline supplies the okay. Pipeline supplies the data. Pipeline supplies the data from the source to the target. So we can say this is the source and this is the target. And from the source to the target, the data is supplied here by what is that? The means called what? Pipeline. By the means called what? Pipeline. Clear, everyone? I want an answer. Must say yes or no. Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just a minute. Okay, so now next one was it you have it? Okay. Sorry, guys. So now, guys, everyone is clear with the pipeline. What is pipeline? So technically, what I can say is pipeline is that which carries the data, pipeline is responsible for. Pipeline is responsible for orchestration of the data from the source to the target. Orchestration of the data from the source to the target. That is, pipeline is responsible, guys, pipeline is responsible for orchestration of the data from the source to the target. Pipeline is responsible for orchestration of the data from the source to the target, from the source to the target. So whenever we require to carry the data from the source to the target, the data is carried out by what's that component in ADF that is called as what? Pipeline. In full, we also call it as a data pipeline. We also call it as what, guys? Data pipeline. We also call it as what? Data pipeline. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, the next one. The next one you have, what is that? Linked service. Now, guys, linked service is nothing but, see, what is a link service or what is the link between you guys and me? Tell me now, who is relating both of us? I am a faculty and you people are a students who want to learn. Tell me now, both of us are being connected and introduced by whom? Yes, guys?
By DurgaSoft?
Yes, exactly. By the DurgaSoft. By the DurgaSoft. So we can say that DurgaSoft is the connecting link between us. So now, for introduction, to introduce you with that is you with me, DurgaSoft plays a vital role here. So once we are introduced, then directly we can connect it and then we can start the classes in the same way. The pipeline required to be connected with the source. The pipeline required to be connected with the source. So as the pipeline required the connections to be established with the source, here we require the linked service. Linked service. Getting my point? The linked service are those which establishes the connection between the pipeline and the source. Between the pipeline and what is source? Between the source and the pipeline, we require a connection string that is called as what? Linked services. That is called as what? Linked services. Okay. This guys. So we have what's that? Linked services. What's that? Linked service. Linked services are those guys. Linked services are those. Okay. Linked services are those. Linked services are those. Linked services are those which is used to create the relationship between create the relationship between the source and the target. Between the source and the target. Getting my point, guys? Source and the target. That is called as what? Source and target and the pipeline. That is pipeline. So this link service creates the relationship between the pipeline and the source. This will create the relationship between the pipeline and the target, whatever it may be the source you have it. So link service is very much essential. So guys, now what is pipeline? Pipeline is used to carry the data from the source to the target. Pipeline is used to carry the data from the source to the target. Pipeline is used to carry the data from the source to the target. Pipeline is used to carry the data from the source to the target, where link service is nothing but it is used to create or establish the relationship between the pipeline and the link service. Pipeline and the linked service. Clear, everyone? Sorry, pipeline and the source, pipeline and the target. Link service is used to establish the relationship between the pipeline and the source, pipeline and the target. Okay, so that's the thing we have it here. Okay, next after this. Okay, the next after this. Okay, guys. So we have what is the data sets. So what do you know data set, guys? Generally in some other languages, we call it as a table, guys. A table is a collection of what? Can somebody tell me? Table is a collection of what?
Rows and columns.
Exactly, rows and columns. In the same way, the data set is the collection of observations and variables. We call it as what? Observations and variables. Observations and variables. We call it here as what? Observations and variables. Observations and variables. Observations and variables. Where observations are rows, variables are columns. Getting my point? Observations and variables. Observations and variables. That's it, guys. Okay. Where observations are the rows and variables are the columns. Observations are the rows and variables are the columns. That's it, guys. Yes, guys, everyone is clear? I want to reply more.
Yes.
So that's it. Now here you have a data set. See, here you have a data set. DS. That means data set will be here. Table will be here. That's it. You will have data set will be here.
So basically the data set is created or generated from the source, right?
Yeah,
So then why don't you put it after the source?
because the data set is created only after establishing of the link service.
Okay.
First, link services establishes the connection between the source and the pipeline. Then
Okay.
you'll have DS data set. Okay. So, but whereas one more thing, whereas I can tell you one more thing. What is it? This all is a part of pipeline only. You can say even this is called as a pipeline. From link service till this, till here. This all is called as a pipeline, guys. The whole thing is called as pipeline. Getting my point? This whole is called as pipeline. Huh? So everything, these are the things which takes place inside a pipeline only. Then the next one is activities. So what is the activities? Activities are those
Transformations. The transformations.
Yeah, no, not the transformation. Just a minute. Give me 1 minute. I'll be 1 minute. Just give me one. Sorry. So guys, here you have what's that? Activities. So activities are nothing but what? The actions you wanted to perform on the data. The action you wanted to perform on the data is called as what? Activities. The action you wanted to perform on the data is called as what? Activities. Okay. The action you wanted to perform on the data is called as what? Activities. That means, guys, here you have what's that? Everyone. Just have a look on this. So here you have what's that? Everyone. Source. And now here is the target. What I wanted to do is there is some data here. There is some data here. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to copy this data. I wanted to copy the data, that is Control C, and I wanted to paste the data into the target. So tell me now, what is this job called as what? Yes, guys, tell me now, what is this job called as? I wanted to copy, I wanted to make another copy. Same copy is here, one more copy. So hence, this kind of activity, guys, this kind of activity, we call it as what? Copy activity. Am I right or not? This kind of activity is called as what? Copy activity. Copy activity. It is called as what? Copy activity. It is called as what? Copy activity. Okay. We can say what's it? Copy activity. So now type of activity is what? Copy activity. We can say type of activity is what? Copy activity. Type of activity is what? Copy activity. Type of activity is what? Copy activity here. That's it. So that means what type of action you wanted to perform on the data, what type of action you wanted to perform. That is called as what? Activity. The activity name is what? Copy. Here the activity name is what? Copy. That means I wanted to copy the data from the source to the target. I wanted to copy the data from the source to the target. I wanted to copy the data from the source to the target. I wanted to copy the data from the source to the target, where copy is the activity. Where copy is what is that? Activity. Where copy is the activity. Getting my point, everyone?
Yeah, got it.
So apart from the copy, you can also have, I can write stored procedure activity. If I want to write some stored procedures, suppose I wanted to write some control if then else statements, if condition or action. Okay, this is called as what? Different activity. The activity name will differ. So control statement activity, or you can say stored procedure activity, or copy means simply Control C and Control V job. That's it. Okay. So now what type of action you wanted to perform on the data, that is nothing but given in the copy activity. That's it. So that is called as what? Activities. So guys, next after that you have a triggers. So what is my triggers? Guys, what is my triggers? Triggers are nothing but, guys, triggers are nothing but, everyone, triggers are nothing but basically these will automate the pipeline to run at a specified given time interval. Whereas suppose, guys, you wanted to wake up at early morning 6 o'clock. What you will do, you will put an alarm. Whether you're there or not, whether that means you're there already waken up or not, the alarm will ring or not. To ring the alarm, do we require an human intervention?
No.
It is automated. That means automatically it will run on a given time. So in the same way here also, the pipeline is nothing but automation of a data pipeline. So whenever you wanted to, can you see, copy the data from the source to the target, whenever you want to use the copy activity, I have designed a pipeline. When the pipeline should start, at what time it should start, what should be the speed of the pipeline, everything is decided by a trigger. That means the trigger will kickstart a pipeline. The trigger will kickstart a pipeline. The trigger will kickstart a pipeline to start at a given interval. Trigger is a thing, but it kickstarts the pipeline at a given interval. Trigger is a thing, but it kickstarts the pipeline at a given time or a given interval, whatever it may be. Okay, I want to start the pipeline at 9 a.m. on that is tomorrow, the Saturday, 15th of 15th of April 2023. I want to start. So automatically 9 a.m. whether I am there in the front of the system or not, it will start the pipeline and it will perform the job, whatever it means. So that is nothing but called as what? Pipeline. Now guys, I want to run at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. and 12 a.m. So I wanted to run it how many times? Repeated times. I wanted to use what? Repeated time. That means this is called as what? Under the triggers also you have varieties of triggers. What is that? You have a scheduled trigger is there. One type of trigger is called as what? Scheduled. Schedule means what? It will be scheduled at a given time, at a given date. Scheduled trigger. Scheduled trigger. And then you have what's it? Scheduled trigger. After the scheduled trigger, you have what's it? Scheduled trigger. That means you have a scheduled trigger. That means what, guys? At a given time, can you see here? At a given time, you have a scheduled trigger. So that means scheduled trigger means what? It will be scheduled at a given time. It will be scheduled at the given time, and at that particular time only this will run. Okay, that is morning 9 a.m., 10 a.m. and it want to run. That is repeated 5 times. That is number of retries is 5 times, 10 times, 100 times, whatever you want. Okay. So in the same way, you have event based. On happening of an event, this will run. That means suppose I want to run this trigger every last day of the month. Every last day of the month, I want to run this trigger. Last day can be what? Tell me now, according to you. Guys, 28 is the last in some time. 28 February is the last day sometime. 29th February can also be last day some year. And guys, 30th and 31st can also be the last day of the month. Am I right or not? 4 different, can you see here? 4 different dates you can have for a last day of the month. Am I right or not, everyone? That is 30th, 31st, 28 and 29. Am I right or not?
Right.
Yes, right.
These are the 4 different events. So what is my event? Last day. It should be the last day of the month. This trigger should run on the last day, irrespective of the date you have it. Not worried about the date. It should be the last day of the month. Whether it is 28th day or 29th day, 30th day or 31st day. That is called as an event. On happening of an event, this will run. Getting my point? Okay. So this is called as a event-based trigger. And then you have the tumbling window. Anyways, I will explain you tumbling window when we get into the subject, guys. Tumbling window trigger, that's it. Okay. So these are the things we have it. Tumbling window trigger. What's that? We have it? Tumbling window trigger. Next, after this, guys, you have a data flows. What's that? You have it? Data flows. You have what is it? Data flows. You have a data flows. Okay.
Can you scroll up a little bit, please?
Huh?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, now guys, next one is what is that you have it? Next one, what is that you have it? Data flows. Next one, what is that you have it? Data flows. Data flows are nothing but transformations ultimately. Transformations. Transformations are what? Tall transformation, aggregator transformation, sort transformation. Okay. Then you have what is that? Alter row transformation. Okay. Then you have what's that? Derived column transformation. Joint transformation. Yes, very good. Joint transformation. These are all the transformations you have it. That means the process of transformation. That is the ETL stands for what? Extraction, transformation, and loading. No? So extraction, I told you, pulling in the data. Actual transformation is called as data flow. Is called as what? Data flow in Azure. Getting my point? Actual transformation is called as what? Data flow in Azure. That's it. The data flow is nothing but the actual transformation is called as data flow in Azure. That's it. Okay. So these are the things we have it. And I think we are left out with only one, that is called as integration runtime. So guys, the integration runtime, I will tell you now. Okay. So everyone is clear. What is a pipeline basically? Tell me now, guys. The pipeline is that which carries the data from the source to the target. Next one, you have data set, or you can say link service. Link service is what? Link service relates the pipeline with the source, pipeline with the target. And what is data set? Ultimately, the data inside a pipeline will be recorded in a data set. That is in the form of a table only. And then you have what is that? Activities. What is the activities? The action you wanted to perform on the data is called as what? Activity. Then trigger means what? To run this pipeline in an automated method, we require triggers. How many type of triggers you have? It 3 types: schedule trigger, event based trigger, and tumbling window trigger. Getting my point? These are the 3 different type of triggers. Then apart from this, what is the next thing you have it, guys? You have what are data flows. Data flows are nothing but what? Ultimately, what type of transformation you wanted to apply on the data. What is the what type of transformation you want to apply on the data? That is nothing but basically called as what? What type of transformation you require to apply on the data? What type of transformation you require to apply on the data? That is nothing but ultimately the data flows is nothing but transformations. It's called as a transformation. Whether it is aggregator transformation, whether it is whatever the type of thing we have it, that's it. Now, finally, you have what's it? Integration runtime. Guys, you have an integration runtime. Basically, the integration runtimes are of 3 types. First one, I can say Azure IR, comma, self-hosted IR, and SSIS IR. That's it. These are the 3 things. Whereas, guys, if you have the data here, all of you just concentrate. If you have the data here in the on-premises system, on-premises means, let us say on the desktop, you have it on the local PC. From the local PC, I wanted to transfer the data to the, can you see here, Azure. You wanted to transfer the data to the Azure blob storage. Now tell me, what type of transfer it is? What type of transfer it is? Can you tell me, guys? It is on-premises to cloud or normal? Tell me now.
On-premises to cloud, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. So now when you have on-premises to cloud transfer, here we require what's that? Self-hosted IR. Whenever you have a, can you see here, self-hosted IR. So whenever you require, that is whenever you require to transfer the data from a on-premises system to the cloud environment, we require to use an integration runtime. Integration runtime as what? Self-hosted IR. Now, in the same way, suppose you have it here. Can you see? You have here ADLS Gen 2, ADLS Gen 2. And from the ADLS Gen 2, you require to transfer the data to the blob storage, or we can say Azure blob storage. Now tell me, as you wanted to transfer the data from the Gen 2 to blob storage, what type of transfer it is? Cloud to cloud transfer or what?
Cloud to cloud.
Very good. So it's cloud to cloud transfer. So at that time, automatically the system creates an runtime that is called as what? IR, called what? Azure IR. This is auto created. You need not create it manually. Everything is created by the system itself. Everything is created by the system itself. Azure IR. Getting my point? Azure IR is created by the system itself. Azure IR is created by the system itself. Getting my point?
Yeah.
So it is auto created. You won't be creating it. Okay. Next, after this, you have SSIS IR. Okay. That means, suppose here you have a, guys, here you have on-premises. Here you have on-premises. Informatica. You know now Informatica, everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, ab initio. So you have ab initio or Informatica. These are the we can say the tools which is used to perform the ETL job. Whereas you have some already script is there. Some script is already there written in Informatica. I wanted to run that script. I wanted to run that script on the cloud. That is, let us say here you have it Azure SQL DB. I have to run this here. So what is it I need to do? Simply, there is a transformation script already available in Informatica. I wanted to run this. So at that time, we require to run like a patches. We require to run like a patches. Am I right, everyone? So for that running that patches, we require to create SSIS-IR integration runtime. SSIS-IR integration runtime. We require to create it. Make sure you have to create SSIS-IR and self-hosted IR. Auto Azure IR, you don't create it. Azure IR, you don't create it, guys. It is auto created. Okay. So based on the requirement, you will create the self-hosted IR for on-premises to cloud and SSIS IR to run the available script in the the on-premises tools onto the cloud environment. We use the SSIS IR. Suppose already there is some transformation script written in Informatica, and that you want to run the transformation script, you want to run it into the cloud. At that time, we use what? SSIS IR. Clear? Getting my point, everyone?
So go ahead.
I have one doubt. Since the Informatica is on premises, won't the self-hosted IR also will be used here?
Yes. Yes.
Both have to be used, right?
Both has to be used. Yes. Both has to be used. Okay. Only for running the patches, we use the SSIS IR. Running the patches. Running the patches means already code patches, you can say. That's it. Okay. So these are the, these are the components we have it, guys. What is it?
So
please go ahead.
I'm curious that why we are using Informatica. Isn't that going to increase the cost? Because we are paying
no. Already there is some code written. I want, instead of recreating that code, rewriting that code into this ADF or ADB, I want to run that as it is. Getting my point? Huh?
So you want to run the Informatica code, but you want to use
suppose, tell me, just a minute, give me time. Give me a minute, let me explain it to you. See, okay. I have a photo, we have some photographs which you took it 10 years back. Getting my point? And 10 years back, you took it on a camera, normal camera, you have it, a digital camera, you can see. Now, today you wanted to put that photos into your latest mobile phone, Apple 14 Pro, something you want to put it. So now tell me, if you take the photo from an Apple 14 Pro, the clarity will be different and the previous photo clarity will be different or not?
Yeah.
So when you put those old photos in your new mobile phone, what happens? Tell me now. The clarity will not be, the visibility will not be that clear. Am I right or not?
Yeah.
So that means those are some old photos you want to put it here. In the same way, some old code you want to run it here. Getting my point? Old code you want to run it. For running that, we require the support of SSIS IR. It's not essential. It is not. It is. I'm not saying that you will run that code here. You have a feature of running even that code into this cloud environment. That's the only thing I want to tell you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Tell me further, any doubt? So guys, let me brush it upon. See, here you have what's that? We have pipeline. The first one is the pipeline, data set, linked service, activities, triggers, data flows, and integration runtime. So your pipeline means what? Pipeline is used to carry the data from the source to the target. Data set is nothing but it is used to maintain the data in the form of a table. Okay, where table is a collection of rows and columns. Data set is a collection of observations and variables, and link service. Link service is used to establish the relationship. Link service is used to establish the relationship between the source and the target. Okay, and the pipeline, we can say. And activities are nothing but the actions you wanted to perform on the data is called as activities. Triggers are those which is used to run a pipeline in an automated method. We have three types of triggers: scheduled triggers, event-based trigger, and tumbling window trigger. And next one, what is it? You have it, data flows, which is nothing but transformations here in Azure is called as what? Data flows. So the full name of the data flow is called as what? Mapping data flows. It is called as what, guys? Mapping data flows. Next, integration runtime. The integration runtime is used to establish the connectivities. Establish the connectivities, guys, everybody. Establish the connectivities or establish the connectivities when you have the on-premises system to the that is cloud environment. Between the cloud environment, you need not worry. Automatically it establishes. No need not worry. Okay. But when you have on-premises, you require to have it. Okay. Or the existing code can also be compiled off here onto the cloud environment by using the integration runtime. Okay. Called SSISIR. That's it. So guys, these are the things we have it. And from tomorrow, we'll start the practicals here. Okay. Tomorrow we'll have the class the same time, guys. Okay. We'll have the class. Hello?
You mean Monday?
Tomorrow we'll have it Saturday. Actually, due to some I'm having the classes even tomorrow. So we'll have it the class tomorrow also. So we'll have it tomorrow morning at that is the same 8 o'clock. We'll have the class. Don't worry. Okay.
So, how do I get the link? I have paid them today for.
Tomorrow there will be the same link. Tomorrow there will be the same link. From Monday there will be a change in the link. Tomorrow the same link it will be. Okay.
Okay. And the time from Monday on.
Monday onwards, it would be 7:45. We'll start it. Okay.
I told you that I have a conflict. I have a class that ends.
Yeah, obviously. So the 15 minutes I can adjust it. I already spoke to them. 15 minutes, so I can adjust it. So 7:45, the maximum time what I can start up. Because you know, the prior to you, I have a batch that will take anyways 1 hour 15 minutes time it will take. So once I complete it, we can start by 7:45 or 7:50 maximum, not beyond that. Okay, because that's the thing we have it. So this is the thing. Or else, if it is not comfortable for you this time, then you can 9:30 also you can join it. The new batch you have it at it is on 18th you have it 9:30 a.m. Okay, that will be 9:30 to 10:30.
Okay, let me talk to them.
Okay, so that's the thing we have it. So tomorrow the same 8 o'clock we'll have it. Okay. Anyways, till we start up the session, everything it will be almost for 7:50 only, guys. Okay, you not worry about 5-10 minutes here or there. So obviously, till I leave that session and join the session, it will be 7:50 only. 5 minutes time, obviously, it will take if we start at 7:45, if I say. Anyways, you just check with them what is the thing I can do. I just told you. Tomorrow, the same time, 8 o'clock, we'll connect it. Okay. Thank you. The same link. There will be no change in link tomorrow. But from Monday, there will be link change. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Samir, just I got the materials, but it's not handmade materials, means the notes or this.
That will be not handmade, basically. That will not be in handmade. It will be this thing. If you require, anyways, this handmade material and all those things, basically, you will get it this one, the classroom notes, you can have it. That's not a thing.
And that only, the classroom notes that has been not been given. Means
Yeah, they are
basically, you have this videos now, you can take it, or else every day, if you want, I can just copy and paste it to you directly on this in the chat box.
I don't have the videos either.
See, I have just pasted in the chat box. You can take that. That's not a problem. Okay.
No, but what about
do daily that one, sir?
Sir,
good morning, sir. You can do daily after completion of the class. You can give this in chat area.
Yeah, definitely. I can give you. No problem. Okay. Whatever you want, I can give it. That's not a problem. In the chat box, I can paste it out. Getting it, printing, all these things, that is not my hand, basically, to be honest. Okay. What I can do is I can give it in the chat box. That is the thing I can do. That's the maximum thing. Okay. And about, the material, that is a normal, the printed material, you have it. And, but that is a unique material only. You will not find it everywhere. It's a, the good amount of knowledge you'll get on that material. But the handmade means you can have only this one, whatever you have it. The classroom notes.
Sir, half of part only came, sir. If you don't mind, paste once again.
Okay. Up to what it copied?
Top only, sir. Top 4-5 lines only copied. Yeah, this
For me, it copied full.
yeah, this one only copied, sir. Only that part only. This one is not here.
It copied all, no?
No, I got fully submit.
Ah,
No, sir. We are not.
Paste in Notepad and see it. You'll be getting it fully.
Maybe can I copy and paste there? Notepad will come.
Yes.
Okay, let's see.
Samir, one doubt I have during the interview, how the interview questions will be there. So if when I check that material which the book or the thing that has been given, that won't be enough, I don't think.
that is basically for a learning point of view, that material is fine. But actually practical implementation, you require to, basically whatever the case studies we are doing it. Okay, we will have to make out, the questions among that.
Mhm.
Basically, they are worried, about the implementation of a pipeline. What are the type of complex pipelines you have designed it? Okay, what are the more things you have done it? Anyways, you will not have to design a database here. You will not have to design the structure of a database here because you are not a solution architect. You are a data engineer. That means you will be concentrating more on the data rather than on any other thing.
See, these days, all these titles are kind of mixed and overlapped.
Yes.
Very fuzzy
Obviously.
distinction. One is working as a solution architect, but the role expected is to do the data work and vice versa. So
Yeah,
I've seen it.
obviously. But a data engineer, if you see, if you work here, the data engineer will not be asked to design a database architecture. Am I right?
Correct.
But a solution architect, they expect the solution architect to design or to perform the ETL. They may they may ask them to do, but a data engineer, anyways, he will not be having knowledge of designing all these things, isn't it?
At the end of the day, the boss is always right. Boss will say, no, there's nothing to do.
Yes.
There's nothing
Obviously.
we
Yes, obviously.
Nowadays in industry, you have to know each and everything.
Yeah, that's
Obviously.
Yep.
Obviously. The requirement is like that. Okay, guys. Thank you.
So,
We'll meet tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Okay. Thank you.
the ADV class.
Thank you. Bye-bye.